We're live.
Good morning.
My God, we're live. Thanks for
Thank
joining us. Welcome to
yes.
Quarantine on Fire. I think it's 3 o'clock. I have 3 o'clock on my iPhone.
Yeah, it
Are
is.
we in the same, are you and I in the same time zone?
I don't know about you, but I am. I'm in my own
No.
zone.
All right. Well, so I have to tell you about an amazing experience I had last night. It was really, really wonderful. We went and had drinks at Cesar. And then we went and had a fabulous dinner at Chez Panisse next door. A nice bottle of wine, dessert. It was really good. In fact, you were there. Beyonce was there, and
Right.
Marilyn Monroe.
And then
You know what? Now that I think about it, that might have been a dream.
and then you woke up. That's what you need to finish with.
That was a dream. Never mind.
Okay.
It was a very nice dream, though.
But you did
Hope,
you did you did go to Cesar have a drink though.
yeah, I do that. I
Because
do that all the time.
you have to work there, right?
I don't always work when I go there and have a drink. I'm going to go up and water the planters after the show
Oh,
today.
cool.
I am most likely going to test some of the alcohol to make sure it hasn't gone bad. Because I care. I care about our consumers, and I want to make sure that we still have a good product to serve them.
And if it's corked, then you're gonna uncork it.
That's right. That's what I always say to
So
Cameron. Cameron, this bottle's cork. Let me pull this cork out and let's drink it. Yeah. Well, that was a really nice dream. I
yeah.
hope I have it again tonight because,
Welcome back to Earth.
yeah, it's funny. I woke up and I wasn't hungry anymore either, but half my pillow is gone. Boom, boom. Well, we have questions today. We have questions that have been passed down through generations of cooking students at Kitchen on Fire. And this is from the great grandson of one of your students who asked, what oil do you use for cooking and when do you use it? And I assume
I
by
have something
when in the cooking process you use it. But what kind of oils do you like to
So
use?
I put together, I looked online for a smoke point of different cooking oils. And you can see that a lot of time, avocado oil, all these sunflower, rice brands, these guys are on the top. So that means they won't break down easily. That means you have room to cook the food. We cook here with rice bran oil. It's a really good oil, and it's very safe. It goes to 500 degrees or something. Avocado is really good too. That means if we cook at 375 or maybe 400 degrees, you won't destroy the oil. It's gonna be fine.
Is it tasteless? Does it have a neutral taste?
Yeah, there's no flavor.
Oh, good.
I mean, not particularly. You could. There's a difference between avocado and rice, of course, but I mean,
Well,
it's
avocados are
minor.
bigger. I know that.
Which one?
Avocados are much bigger
Than what? Than
than,
olives?
than most rice I've seen.
Yes. Right.
We we use a lot of olive oil, I have to
Yeah.
say, but we
Me
don't
too.
cook at super high heat.
Exactly.
Um,
I use olive oil here a lot too. It's really good. Really good oil.
I try to use a less expensive one for cooking, but we use it nonetheless.
Yeah. No, oils are
So,
really good. If you don't cook it too high, olive oil is really really good, and butter and all this stuff.
so what's your theory on adding oil to a pan? I mean, do you add it to a hot pan, to a cold
Yes.
pan?
This is very important. Most of the issues we're gonna have in our diet, any type of issues with inflammation or chronic disease, they are often caused by a damaged fat. So damaged fat is really the worst you can do for your body, I think, because this is not something the body can deal with. So it has different name like glycation or uh, oxidized LDL, oxidized lipid peroxidation. All these are very inflammatory. So this is happen when you buy cheap oils that are already damaged in the bottle. So all these cheap oils are already done because they've been processed so much that they're already damaged in the bottle. And then you're going to cook with them and you're going to cook them on high heat. That means you're going to damage even more the fat. So basically, you end up with a product that's very inflammatory at the end. So if you cook with good oils to start with in lower temperature, then you don't have to worry about the oil at all. Plus, in France, a lot of time what we do is we cook in oil, we put more oil than we need, we cook, 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 and then we dump that oil. We can't eat that. And we serve butter or olive oil on top, fresh oil. That's really good.
So I'm not sure if you said this, but do you put the
Oh, yeah.
oil into a cold pan or?
Yes. So basically, if you wait for the pan to be hot, when you put the oil in, it's gonna heat pretty fast, and then you should put your food right behind it. You should not wait. You cannot heat up the pan with the oil in it because you're cooking the oil and you're
Right.
damaging the oil. You see, once you put food in the pan, the temperature is going to drop. Then what's going to happen? The steam is going to come out, and then everything is going to stabilize to a nice temperature of about 230, 220. I mean, no more than 212, I would assume, unless you have a lid on. But that's so it's a low temp. Okay, so we don't damage the fat at all. This is cool.
Right. Yeah, I used to hear that in restaurants they always cooked on super high heat, but
They do because they have to go fast. That's different. At home, you don't have to go fast. In a restaurant, you have a lot of people to serve. If you need a steak, you need to go high on the steak. You need to be seared. And then sometimes you put 2 or 3 steaks. So that means that pan needs to be super hot because if not, you're not getting a crust. So the stove in a restaurant are 3 or 4 times the power of a home stove.
I see. You know, in Chinese restaurants, they have special burners for the woks that have
Oh,
these
yeah.
huge flames, and it's really hard to approximate that at home. Although you can do a good job in a wok at home, but I think
No,
you have
I've seen some, like, for example, to give you an example of BTUs, the BTUs at home, BTU is a power of your stove. Between 8,000 and 12,000 is it's an average BTU power. Uh, some stove go to 22 BTUs, 22,000. That's pretty hot. The one I have at my other kitchen are 30 something BTUs, really hot. And a big wok, I think can go to 100,000, 100,000 BTUs,
wow.
which is so it's a torch
Yeah.
that comes and you have this big thing and the gas pipe it's insane.
Yeah, there used to be this restaurant, probably still is, in Chinatown over in the city called I want to say Hop Key.
It's
That's a
called
restaurant in New York. Anyway, they used to have the cooks right up front. When you walked in, you'd be standing right by the cooking line, and these guys had gigantic woks and huge flames, and it was really fun to watch them cook. Everything was fast.
right.
So
So I'm looking out online. Most the big woks are like 95,000 BTUs. Yeah, okay, so it's hot.
wow.
So I was right. Yeah,
Wow.
it's pretty hot. So imagine your home stove is about 8 to 12,000.
Wow. Yeah.
Hot stuff because you put so much food in it, it's gonna start to steam. So you need this extra power to
Right.
so it doesn't boil in there all weird. That's
Well,
why you
that's
don't.
why when we do a stir fry at home, it takes longer than I see them do in the restaurants. They throw stuff in the wok there, and it's just cooked
Yeah,
in
you
no time
can.
at all.
At home, you have to do it by batches. You have to cook a little bit
Yeah.
at a time so you get good searing.
Right.
But if not, you get something that's boiled and not interesting. It loses
Right.
texture, flavor, everything. Because food has to be
Right.
good first, right?
If I wanted boiled food, I'd move to England. Sorry, England, I didn't mean it.
Man.
I'm just kidding. It's just a joke.
You know this is going to be
God, I
there
don't want
forever, right?
everyone in England to be mad at me because I'm sure everyone in England is watching the show today. So I don't want to insult them. All right. So the answer is yes.
Yes, absolutely, definitely.
So now we have an interesting question about brandy, and specifically two very specific types of brandy, Cognac and Armagnac. And the question is, what's the difference? What's the difference between Cognac and Armagnac? This person also wanted to know, which do you prefer, and do you use them in cocktails?
Yeah.
And there are different answers to every one of those questions. So let's start with the first one. What's the difference between Cognac and Armagnac? Well, let's start with what's the same about them. They're both named for the regions in France in which they're made. They're both in southwestern France. Cognac is north of Armagnac. They are both. You have to grow the grapes within the regions and distill the spirit there to be called either Cognac or Armagnac. The difference is in how they're made, and there's a difference in the grapes too. They both use the Uni Blanc, but Cognac is primarily Uni Blanc, which oddly enough in Cognac is called Saint-Emilion. Did you know that? They call it Saint-Emilion there.
Wow.
And it has no relation to the area of Bordeaux, but they just call it that.
Well, it is. It's not far. It's Gascogne. It's
not far, yeah.
It's the same area where the 100-year war that we had with England, that was a determinant point, the Gascogne, because Bordeaux and Cognac and all this stuff.
How long did that take? How long did that war last?
So yeah,
well,
so
anyway,
and the Cognac, they are a blend, but Armagnac are usually single vineyard, right?
Right. And Armagnac uses more varieties of grapes too. They're allowed to use more than Cognac is. The other difference is Cognac is made. It's double distilled in a classic pot still. They've determined that 2 distillations is all it needs, and then from there, it's a distilled spirit. So when it comes out of the still, it's a clear liquid. And then it then is moved into barrels, and they age them in oak barrels for years and years and years and years. Some longer than others, but they all age for a considerable amount of time.
Right.
And that gives it its color, of course. Also adds to the flavor, and it mellows the spirit out over time. And it's
so the wood that is used for each alcohol could be whiskey, Scotch, rums, cognacs, Armagnac can be very different from each other, or some of them have similarities, but the wood will impair a lot of the component in the end product.
Right.
So each wood has a very specific things to offer. Those are called congeners, and they're gonna flavor the whiskey, the cognac, the Armagnac, and this is what you see in the bottle.
Right.
And right.
And Cognac almost never has the vintage date on it, and the reason is because they're often blended. Cognac makers want to make a consistent product, so just like with blended whiskeys, they blend.
I thought, James, the cognac were blended and the Armagnac was single vineyard.
The cognac is the cognac is a blended. They're usually blended, so it's a blend of different vintages.
Okay, you said.
Oh, I said Armagnac. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Cognac.
Okay, cool.
And the blending is a big deal because the market is still hugely dominated by 4 manufacturers, even though there are many, there are like 200 distilleries in Cognac, and there are some wonderful small producers growing up, but it's still dominated by the big 4, which are Martell, Hennessy, Courvoisier, and Remy Martin. So they're all about blending because they want to produce a very consistent product
stable,
from year to year. Yeah. So Armagnac is made in a continuous still, and it's a particular still. It's not like continuous stills they use elsewhere. It's sort of peculiar to Armagnac. And in fact, back in the old days, people couldn't afford to have their own stills, so they had these smaller stills made that they could actually transport. So a guy would go around from farm to farm, and he would distill each person's spirit, and then he would move on to the next grower.
Yeah.
Armagnac often has a vintage. Not always, but quite often it does. They both Cognac became known much earlier than Armagnac, even though Armagnac's considerably older than Cognac in the spirit. They were making Armagnac a couple hundred years before they were making Cognac. But Cognac was the first one to really become big on the market because of the river Charente, which runs through the region, and the two principal towns.
Right.
And I'm not sure, is it Jarnac, Jarnac, Jarnac?
Garnac, no?
Well, it's
Garnac.
with a J. Anyway, and Cognac is the other town, and those are both on the river.
Yeah.
And
So
the
basically,
river,
right. So they are harbors, so they can export
right,
easily. Right.
right. It was very easy to ship out
Right.
those brandies when they first hit the international market.
Exactly. Right.
And also, the river plays a real role in the production of the cognac. Aside from shipping, it creates an atmosphere because all the aging houses are along the river.
You need water
And
to distill, right?
right, you need the water to distill, but also the water creates an atmosphere because
Right.
you need a certain level of humidity. If it's too high,
Right.
the brandy will be weak and
Yeah.
thin. If it's too low, it won't evaporate properly and it'll be too harsh. They estimate that this is interesting. I did exhaustive research today, like 5 minutes reading our book, The Bar.
It's not available anymore.
I remembered this, but like something like 20 million bottles, they estimate, go up in the air every year in cognac.
That's
and they
why.
call it the angel share.
Yeah, that's true.
But the people of the area also claim that that's what accounts for their health and long life, is that there's just constantly cognac in the air. And I completely believe them. So the second question was, which do you prefer? And my favorite cognac, my favorite brandy is the brandy that's in front of me. But
right. I don't drink alcohol anymore. I sip sometimes tequila. I like tequila. Mezcal, tequila, rum.
But you used to drink. You used to drink brandy.
Yeah. So I like anything that's well done. And I remember we had some beautiful whiskeys, for example. I really enjoyed that. Then we got some beautiful Armagnac and also grappas. I was really enjoying the grappas we had at César.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of Armagnac I really, really liked. I forgot, of course, the name. Some cognac. Some cognac. Which one?
Peo. Pellehaut. Peo.
I don't even know this one.
Well, anyway.
So anything that's well crafted, I will always enjoy because I like all of them. Yeah, right.
Yeah. I used to prefer cognac. I liked to me it was a little smoother, a little more elegant. But that's because I didn't really know Armagnac. So when I was at César, I started tasting them finally. And
cognac. In general, cognac is more subtle. And traditionally, the way to drink cognac was in a tulip glass.
Right.
The large glass is an Armagnac glass. So the large glass is to air the Armagnac that could be a little stronger sometimes. Right. But in the old days, the cognac, it was a tulip glass. A tulip glass because you really have to go and get and smell that fine flavor. That's why those glasses are different. But now everybody drinks them in a snifter, which is fine. It's not really, but that's originally was a smaller tulip.
So I agree with you. I like them both. I do still drink them, not very often, but once in a while I enjoy a brandy, and I love both cognac and Armagnac.
Right.
But I like most spirits in very small quantities.
But
what's great about spirits, you can have this much and really enjoy it, and that's
exactly enough. Right. So the idea of cognac and Armagnac, and I know we talked about that before, but those are brandies, and there is some good brandies anywhere in the world.
Everywhere that makes wine makes some form of
there's
brandy.
Some really good people. Cognac and Armagnac are older, so you're gonna find some really interesting stuff that are old, but
you could argue that they're among the best brandies being made, but
possibly. I don't have enough.
I think Spain makes excellent brandy. There's some really fabulous brandy made in Italy.
Right. So there's not a lot of countries that have old brandies, basically. That's what I mean. And
Right.
I would like to talk. I would like to talk on Monday. You know, we're starting our 1 hour show.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk about absinthe.
Ah,
I want to talk
yes.
about absinthe because in absinthe there's something called wormwood. I'm sure people know what. And
Right.
wormwood is actually a it's an herb that is a medicine in Africa for malaria. It's the strongest herb that exists. It's Artemisia, I think Anula
Well,
or
you
Nula.
know what I say?
And this
Absence makes
is
the heart grow fonder. So,
so this is what's in there. It's a wormwood. Wormwood is that herb, that Artemisia. That's a malaria um, medicine in Africa. Cool, huh? And it's very
yeah,
old.
it's very cool. I did not know that. I mean, I knew absinthe was made with wormwood, but I didn't know that about wormwood. That's
Yeah,
interesting. Well, the third part of this question was, do you use these in cocktails?
yeah.
And the answer is yes and no. Certainly, brandy figures into a lot of classic cocktails and is a wonderful ingredient at the
Well,
bar.
so if
Sidecar, of course.
I would not use a um, old cognac or Armagnac because
No,
you want to really smell that work that's been done for years. That's
right.
the goal is to get to what happened in the last 30 or 40 years or 50 years. What and so you don't want to put lemon in there or like
Right.
lime twist or weird stuff.
Cointreau
But
and
I would do with a good cognac that is not too old and not too special. I mean, something decent. I could go a cocktail absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, but it's the same with any spirit. I mean, I wouldn't use the best
Yeah.
tequila to make a margarita because it's a waste. It's meant to be sipped, and it doesn't mean you should use a crappy tequila. But there are less
Margarita,
expensive tequila.
Margarita, for some reason, I would. That must be fun. I don't know why. It sounds different than cognac, right? I don't know.
Well, the great thing about tequilas is even the best ones aren't that expensive. I mean, they're
And
not
that
nearly as
and they're
expensive as
not
the best
and they don't
brand.
age. They don't age well, do they?
No,
Right.
no.
So it's not really.
They're
It's too
That's
hot.
another reason that they're not that expensive is they don't get aged for years and
Right.
years.
Because it's too hot. It's like
Right.
for the rum. I know you're going to talk about rum, but this is the same idea. Rum cannot be
Yeah.
aged in where it's made. It's usually transported. You were going to
Right.
talk about that or no?
We are going to talk about rum, and that was somebody asked what exactly is rum and how does it
Right.
differ from other spirits? How it's made?
So the funny thing about a dark rum, it's 100% pure sugar product.
Yeah.
It's distilled from cane sugar. They add caramel for the color.
Yeah.
It's like
And that's key. That's key to the difference in rum from all other spirits is that rum is made from it's made from basically from molasses, which is the
right,
product left over after the
right,
sugar making process.
right.
There are some rums that are made directly from the cane juice
Yeah,
itself. Sugar
yeah.
cane is looks like bamboo kind of,
Bamboo, right. It's
and
really
the
fun.
inside is hollow and it's filled with juice.
Yeah,
And that
you
juice,
can buy you can eat it. You can literally suck on
yeah,
it. It's really cool.
yeah. Well, in sugar cane producing countries in the Caribbean, that it's a common snack. People sit
Right.
around and chew on sugar cane.
Yeah.
It's not really very good for your teeth, but Uh, but yeah, so the sugar, it's basically a form of carbohydrate. So it can be fermented and then distilled. And so that's what rum is a distilled, it's almost like distilled sugar.
Yeah.
Um,
It's good. It's
and
fun. Rum is really fun, but
yeah, and it's like other spirits, most of the darker ones, like not super dark, but the darker, they get aged in wood.
uh,
Um, there are good brands. There are cheap brands. There's a lot of cheap rum out there.
yeah, right.
There's also some very, very fine rum. It's never
Yes.
really been my drink, but I've come to appreciate it
Oh,
in recent
I
years.
love an old rum. So to age the rum, they have to transport it to Scotland.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
have to move the rum
or
to
somewhere.
a cold country, like when it's made in Jamaica or
Yeah.
I forgot where is the rum, all the Saint James and all the stuff. Remember those? What is that?
Well,
Caribe.
Jamaica, Puerto
Jamaica.
Rico,
Right.
Martinique, a lot of the
Martinique.
islands in the Caribbean.
So they have to move that rum in barrels to age in caves, dig in Scotland and England and
Yeah,
anything anywhere cold, right? Because
right,
if not,
right,
it can't. You lose too much alcohol in the heat.
right.
The
The
thing that
climate, the climate is perfect in the Caribbean for growing sugarcane,
yeah,
which they discovered about three
right.
or 400 years ago. But it's not conducive to aging rum for a long period of time. That's why most of the rum that's consumed in the Caribbean is just white rum. It's not aged. It's made. It's probably adjusted a little bit in terms of strength and put in the bottle and sold. So
Yeah.
um, it makes and one of the questions was how best to drink rum, and it depends. If you're a pirate, you just throw it down out of a big beer
Jug.
mug. But in fact, it used to be, I don't think it's true anymore, but it used to be in the British Navy, every
Yeah.
sailor had
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
ration
Oh
of
yeah.
rum.
It is. Yeah. Until 18. I read something that after because they had to keep those guys on board, and that was a vitamin. It was a nutrient for them.
And it was
But
fun.
I want to say something about alcohol and lime. Why it's so good to drink alcohol and lime. First of all, when you drink alcohol, you drink a poison. It's fine, it's fun, but it's a poison. And by adding a lot of vitamin C and antioxidants, you're really compensating a lot. The ice also add water, which is really cool. It dilutes a little bit. So this is
Right.
actually a good way to drink alcohol, in my opinion, because you drink less alcohol. You dilute it and you drink a lot of vitamin C and nutrients with it. A fresh lime. That's
Right.
key to a good drink, like a mojito and caipirinha. When I was in Brazil, I could drink so many caipirinha. I didn't understand why that I didn't get drunk. This because all these fresh limes, man.
Yeah. And those are such
And
simple
vacation,
drinks.
and vacation. Yeah.
And they grew out of what was on hand. I mean, the mojito is a farmer's drink from Cuba. And well, what
And
did they
there's
have? They had mint
and
in
there's
abundance.
mint. And there's a lot
They
of
had
nutrients.
sugar.
There's tons of stuff in there. It's super
And they had
good.
lime. Yeah.
So you drink alcohol, but you drink so much antioxidant and so much beneficial stuff that will help your liver and all the stuff. So it's really good.
I mean, that's how the daiquiri came to be too. Although it wasn't a peasant drink. It was developed by the British
Oh yeah.
officers that were in Cuba. But
Now,
again, it was made from the ingredients that would have been readily at hand, which was rum, sugar, and lime.
now, what you really don't want to drink is rum and coke. Rum
No,
and coke. Imagine how much sugar you're getting. This is like your liver will really suffer a lot. So the
I
rum and
remember
coke, any vodka, orange juice also. Yes,
oh
there's
yeah,
vitamin C. Yes, but there's so much sugar. You have to think that alcohol and sugar does really a lot of damage to your liver. So when you drink margaritas, you really want them not sweet, like a
right,
pinch of sugar, but no sugar, like really.
right. When I first started tending bar as a young man, rum and cokes were
I
rum
know.
and coke and bourbon and coke were
Uh,
big, like Jack Daniels and Coke. So
and
many people
long iced teas.
and Long Island iced teas and screwdrivers too, which
Yeah.
to me,
Well,
orange juice, especially the orange juice we were using, was no different than Coca-Cola. It was just
well,
sugar water.
what about tequila sunrise
Yeah, same thing. So you
with
not only have the
grenadine?
orange juice, it's
Oh my
not sweet enough, so you pour in some grenadine to make it sweeter. Oh yeah, those were disgusting
Some
drinks.
corn syrup, some
For
corn
them.
syrup, red corn syrup in your
Yeah.
drink.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Well, that was a fun days, right?
That was yeah,
When
yeah,
when we when we opened Cesar, we said that we would never serve Long Island iced tea. So that was they was no because no way
yeah,
we're gonna have people getting slashed at the bar.
yeah.
So we didn't want to serve those. And there was a lot of college students. They would say, "Oh, can I have a?" No, we don't make those. We make like good cocktails.
And for those people that don't know, a Long Island iced tea
Oh yeah.
is basically a shot of each one of the white spirits at the bar. So you've got like a half ounce of rum, tequila, gin, and vodka all in the glass with a little bit of lime, a little bit of sweetener, and then you top it
Triple
off. Coke.
and Coke. Ugh.
Because the Coke then makes it look like iced tea because there's not that much room left in the
And it
glass.
tastes like and it fits well done. That's the thing. A well done Long Island tastes like nothing almost,
Yeah,
and it's dangerous because you. It's a
yeah,
table drink. Table drink.
yeah. I don't like it, and I
Nobody
like to
should make it.
taste the alcohol in my drinks, and you
Yeah.
can't taste the alcohol if they're all mixed together like that.
Yeah.
So,
Cool, man. That was fun. Well,
well, we're out of
that brought
time.
some good memories, huh?
Yeah, I know. Rum and Cokes.
Oh
I
yeah.
sure will never drink one again. I don't think there was never my drink anyway. But
I tried. It was
anyway,
fun, but no.
thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you again
Yes.
tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Great.
Tomorrow, and then we're going to switch